I'm in Taynuilt, a small village about halfway up Loch Etive, a 20-mile-long sea loch on Scotland's western coast. It's actually where I shot my first ever kayaking video back in the summer of 2024. I've been wanting to return ever since, and I'm finally back a year and a half later to explore more of this beautiful area. The pier here was constructed way back in the 1700s, originally serving the local iron industry when ore was brought in from Cumbria and smelted at the nearby furnace, producing pig iron as well as cannonballs during the Napoleonic Wars. I'm joined at the pier by local resident and fellow filmmaker Donnie Wilcox. Having retired here several years back, Donnie is well known for his videos of his many boating trips around this part of Scotland, and I've invited him to come along for the weekend. We launch into the Narrows, the bitter January winds stinging my face as I dig my paddle into the fast-moving water. This is the only stretch of strong tidal flow this far up the loch, and it takes a brief but determined ferry across the ebbing water to reach the northern shore, where the air is filled with the rumble and clanking of a busy granite quarry. The folks at P&H Sea Kayaks kindly lent me this kayak for my trip. The Volan comes in a few sizes, and for myself, the 158 is an ideal fit, and with plenty of packing space, it's a great boat for weekend trips like this one. Donnie knows these waters inside out, pointing out the many features of the shoreline and wildlife we pass along the way. It's like having my own personal tour guide. Occasional breaks in the clouds overhead pour golden sun across the water, briefly brightening our passage before turning grey and brooding once again. But as the views up the loch begin to open, so too does our exposure to the wind funneling across the water from the glen on the southern shore. Having originally planned to continue to the head of the loch today, we decide instead to stop at the nearby sheltered bay of Rubha Barr to get out of the strengthening wind. The flat grassy land above the beach here makes it a natural campsite, and while it's clearly a popular spot, we're unsurprisingly the only ones here today, braving the cold January air as we set up our tents and settle in for the evening. The sandy beach here provides a place to light a small fire and warm ourselves as the light slowly fades from the sky. Over a few drams of whiskey, we share stories and a mutual love for the sea and the hills, while Donnie tells me of the many journeys he's made on this loch over the years. Occasional bursts of rain pass over as the hours go by, the flickering light of the fire a primal comfort as the cold, wet January night closes in. As the first colours of the dawn light the sky, the overnight rain slowly subsides, and we emerge from our sleeping bags to brew coffee and greet the new day. While these upper reaches of the loch are fairly remote, with no road access and only a few scattered bothies dotted along the shore, the bay where we're camped was the access site for a hydroelectric project several years back, the remnants of its construction still all around us, with a large gravel track heading up the hill towards it. Donnie suggests we take a walk up to see it. While understanding the need for more sustainable power, I can't help but feel sad as we wander along the glen. The now abandoned timber stacks along the winding track a sharp contrast to the photos that Donnie shows me of how these hills looked before. The original proposal suggested the causeway and felled timber would be removed and the area rewilded, but this has yet to happen. I wonder if it ever will. Returning to the beach, we decide to remain camped here again tonight. The forecast for the day is looking superb, and I pack my boat with supplies to head up to the head of the loch for some sightseeing. The morning breeze that had textured the water earlier had now dissipated completely, and I paddle out onto glassy water that sparkles in the morning light. With no road access for most of its shoreline, the upper end of this loch has a remote and wild feel, with steep hills towering all around us, a reminder of the loch's origins, having been carved out by ice where glaciers once ground their way through this landscape in the distant past. I feel very small and humbled, paddling here along the base of these monuments to time and enormous geological processes. Donnie knows the location of a sea eagle's nest and explains where I should look out for it. And sure enough, we spy the pair of large birds sitting up in the trees as we pass by. We landed at Trilleachan, a small outcropping at the foot of the mountain bearing the same name. The huge granite slabs on its face a popular spot for climbers, although there are none here today. I've paddled in many parts of Scotland over the past few years, but Loch Etive has remained a favourite. Sitting here near its head, I am reminded why. It feels open and wild, yet at the same time enclosed, its steep rock walls drawing in around us and holding the loch quietly in place. It feels like a special privilege to be here, the cool mountain air as calm and still as the waters below it. It would be easy to spend many hours in this quiet and beautiful place, but the January days are not long, and we begin heading back down the loch, this time crossing to the sloped southern shore, as the afternoon light casts soft shadows across the hills and water. We pass a river mouth where the nearby remains of a mid-19th century farmer's house and chapel still stand, looking out over the water, watching as we pass back across to the northern shore, heading to our campsite. When the evening light spills across the hills and water, everything is bathed in a warm golden glow. This is one of the most beautiful evenings I have ever experienced. As we warm ourselves by the fire, we share a quiet sense of contentment that comes from being in a place like this. Time seems to slow down, life pared back to the simple act of just being here. Worries drifting away as the warmth of the fire and the heat of my mug in my hands are all the comfort that I need. I wake early, wrapping my hands around my hot coffee as the sun slowly lights the sky. I watch the breeze blowing across the water and slowly start packing up my things. These moments are often bittersweet, the pull of home matched by the sadness that an adventure is ending. But today, there's mainly a wish to stay. Even in the cold, there's peace in places like this, one that lingers and makes leaving a little harder each time. I quietly promise myself that I'll return again. Having ensured we were leaving nothing behind, I sit in my kayak, breathing the fresh air and savouring the last moments of this quiet place before we head out onto the water. I have a rather close call here, as I'd accidentally left my camera gear bag perched on the back of my boat, instead of bringing it into the cockpit with me. Totally unattached to anything, it's a testament to the stability of this particular kayak that I didn't end up losing all of my equipment to Davy Jones. Having now reached the southern side of the loch, we follow the shoreline and its many small bays, glad to be out of that strengthening wind. There's a small seal colony on the islands in this bay, and we approach slowly, hoping to catch sight of some of these curious creatures. As I head down the shore towards Taynuilt, I reflect on the past few days. I'd set out to make a film about kayaking on the loch, but what I've ended up with is something more. A film that's also about how these places make us feel and how they unite people from different generations and different walks of life. What stays with me isn't just the time spent on the water, but the shared understanding of why these places matter to all of us.